So, guys, Mr. Dele Faroimi has equally reacted to the core member who is being threatened by the Nysc, who came out telling Nigerians what she has been going through and dragging Tinubu's government, calling Tinubu a terrible president. And because of that, Nysc is trying to strip her of her core membership. Now, Mr. Dele Faroimi has lent his voice in condemning that. In addition to that, Mr. Dele Faroimi is warning about Peter will be going into any form of coalition with El-Rufai. Honestly, you need to hear what Mr. Dele Faroimi said in this video. I believe Mr. Peter Obi really need to watch this video himself. Also, Mr. Dele Faroimi has a project at hand. That project is to, trigger electoral reform. He wants Nigerians to join him to take this bill to the National Assembly. He said without this reform, we should not be talking about 2027 presidential election. So, guys, I'm going to allow you to take a look at what Mr. Dele Faroimi said in this video. Just watch to the end to get all the gist. Take a look.
The midget of Kaduna is summoning you to come and join him in his political misadventures. I take God beg on her. That man is not worthy of your time. What kind of power would you be seeking that will make you find deodorants for skunks? Exactly what is it about the midget of Kaduna that will make you think he's somebody you desire to have any form of association with? How? What is it about his record? Important. Anyway, until then, let's see those who will be stupid enough to go and team up with such an odious character. Oh, and yes, the hunger toss. Apparently, Muslim ticket does not automatically conjure food. And now, Oga Shetima don't turn, wait himself, what does he do these days? Okay, he renovates the already renovated or brand new palace of the vice president, but he is the one running the hunger tour in northern Nigeria. What does he tell you? Nothing, save the fact that poverty has been fully weaponized to the extent where the people who used to bring food for the rest of Nigeria are the ones who are getting cooked food shared in everything. Look, it is for the leaders of Arewa to open their eyes and decide exactly what the hunger tour says to them. And yes, about BJ, the patron saint of Nigerian hypocrites. Baba, of course, has a lot to say about the current occupant of the office. The only thing is, I wish Baba had done better. Yeah, he did better compared to these ones, but he could have set the standard. He could have set the guardrails. He could have defined what kind of democracy we were coming into. But then, the opportunity is lost. So the lessons he could have delivered succinctly have become punchlines in the mouth of those who deride him because of his own past record. But the truth is not devalued even in the mouth of a liar. They should listen to Obasanjo if they're serious about it, but then they are not serious about doing anything. So there's only very little that one can say about those ones, and the simple simpletons. Your enemy's enemy is not your friend. When Wike and Fubara were busy stealing the presidential election at real cost in lives and properties, where were you? If they are quarreling today, is it a quarrel over substance, over ideology? Openly, we know already that the quarrel is about sharing the resources of the Rivers people. I do not take side in squabbles amongst thieves. It is not my thing. So that was the week that was. It's 10 o'clock now, and we should begin to deal with the week that is and the future that may or may never come. This week, I'd like us to speak to the subject, a few good men. And until yesterday morning, the original title that I gave to the thought that is leading to today's sermon was Sustaining Evil. And all of these are coming from a place where I am asking myself, how did we get to where we are, where hope would appear to have been vaporized, and it would appear that evil wins constantly? This thought has been with me for some time, particularly since Nigeria managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory in February 2023. When I saw the way those who should be opposed to the evil became complicit in the evil, to the point where those of us who dared to speak contrary to what societal Praetorian guards of morality had determined was the right path for Nigeria, I became a little worried about how easy it had become to sustain evil in Nigeria. So I was going to speak today, and I'm finding that there is a common thread that is running through everything I have spoken to in recent times. And I believe that this is actually a continuation of thoughts that had started for some time now. And you'll get me in a few minutes. So I was going to title today's talk, Sustaining Evil, because that would appear to be the only thing that has been successfully sustained in my lifetime in Nigeria. I had become aware of the existential evil with which we live since I was 16. I'm going to be 57 my next birthday. So it would appear to be that there is no break to this cycle of evil. You would appear to be self-perpetrating and completely impervious to attempts at changing it. It has, in my lifetime, I've watched it claim lives every time an attempt had been made to change the reality and to take us to a better place. I watched it happen as a teenager in 1983 when the people's vote counted for nothing. I saw the military came in 1984, a reaction to what had taken place in 1983. I watched the people raise their hopes, invest their energies, and then they voted in 1993, believing that their voices would count for something, and they invested their hopes in a man, and their hopes were dashed. And I watched that cycle. That's what everybody knows today as a democracy, but one that has delivered nothing of substance to the people. So a cycle of despair would appear to be the only thing that is certain in Nigeria. Evil appears to have become self-sustaining, and I began to despair myself in spite of the fact that I have tried to be the one offering hope to those who have become hopeless about our situation. So I started looking at why is it that evil appears to constantly win? 2023, Yakubu told all of us that we should have hope, and a lot of us reconnected with the electoral process. We got other people to become connected to that system. We fought pitched battles with secessionist voices who had genuine grievances and still have genuine grievances. We argued that they could believe in the electoral system and invest their hope in candidates who would reflect their electoral desires. We believed that if the electoral system were to find its integrity, citizenship would emerge out of the capacity of the citizens, of the victims, to effect changes in leadership at election times. And it was this fervor that took us into the 2023 election, and Nigeria snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. And it became easier to despair than to hope. And I was in this mindset, looking at the totality of our situation by the time I was going into my Ikpebi at Ekiti. And I spent 21 days in Ekiti, still thinking through these things. Evil appears so easy to sustain in Nigeria. And it's easier to simply despair when you look at our situation. So I started asking myself, one, what has happened to us as a people? Edmund Burke's words came to me on Friday evening. And by yesterday morning, the more I mulled these words, the more it appeared to me that my title should not be Sustaining Evil. It should actually be A Few Good Men. What is it that Edmund Burke said? He said the only thing necessary for evil to triumph in the world is that good men do nothing. I believe Edmund Burke said this in 1795 or thereabout. But the truth is an eternal reality. It changeth not. The Yoruba people had no knowledge. My ancestors had no knowledge of some pale skin called Edmund Burke. But there is a Yoruba proverb that says, and I quote, "Ìlú tí kò sí òfin, ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ò sí níbẹ̀." When you translate, what it says is, where there are no laws, there can be no crime. But that is antithetical to any Yoruba philosophy of life. The Yoruba cannot conceive of a place without laws. So they were not speaking of a place without laws. They were speaking of a place where the law does not rule. They were saying that where the law does not rule, perversions reign supreme. That is what the Yoruba proverb was saying. But what is it about the laws not ruling and about the sustenance of evil and then a few good men? I will explain myself. If you took Edmund Burke's words, where he said that is that for evil to triumph, good men must do nothing. So all we really need in Nigeria are a few good men. A few good men. A lot of times I find myself completely embarrassed by the reception I get either online when I run into those who will be effusive in their praises, just as I have people who are very effusive in their abuses. But those who are effusive in their praises will come to me and be like, if we have only 50 of you, if we have 10 of you, if every state has one of you, and I'm looking at these people and I'm saying to myself, you guys are actually bringing home the lesson that Christ was teaching when he asked his disciple, why do you call me good? I know as a fact, I guarantee you that I am not a saint. I am nobody's moral agent. I am not looking to be anybody's pastor. All I do at any point in time is I tell the truth that I see in my space. I have rarely ever been found at the head of any protest. I have never advocated that anybody bear arms. And let's be clear, I'm not a peaceful man. My insistence on non-violence is not a function of me being essentially peaceful. It's because I am weak. I don't have any guns. I got no guns. So I cannot confront those who are practitioners of violence and have a monopoly of arms. So I am weak. The only thing I can do is speak truth in the face of those who are carrying the guns and let it be clear to them by sheer force of my own moral strength. I'm not afraid of your guns, and I will speak to the truth of what I see. So the absence of fear for those who are bearing arms, the absence of fears for the consequence of the truth that is spoken, those are the only reasons why you have separated someone like me and you'll be pointing me out. But there are myriads of you who have equally lost the fear of the same things that I have, but you are merely not applying yourself in the direction that is beneficial to all. So I'm saying to you, what is it that Nigeria really needs for Nigeria to change? It just requires a few good men. Imagine there is a theory in sociology, in the study of society, they've come to the knowledge of one reality. There is what they call the theory of non-collapse. This morning I shared an essay I wrote, I believe about 3-4 years ago, where I said everything stinks. I shared it and I said, this is today's scripture. And what was it I was trying to point at? In Everything Stinks, I described how you become acculturated to madness the longer you tolerate the madness. And the point I am making is this. If we have not become so acculturated to madness to the point where our societal norms have collapsed, where we have now become accepting of even the worst of anomalies, and we have normalized abnormalities, become acculturated to evil to the point where we are barely ever shocked by what is done to us or to our fellow victims. What is it about us that has us accepting of evil to the point where you have over 20 churches and mosques, but not one, a single one of them would dare to speak to the common good based on truth? How many pastors have spoken the way Raye spoke? Did she lie? If more people would speak as Raye has spoken, how many people can they phone to be threatening? How many people? Exactly how many people can they threaten? How many? It is when we are collectively silent that we isolate those whose voices we should be echoing and then render them as outliers, targets to be picked off by a self-sustaining system reinforced by our silences. Why are we accepting of evil? Why? Exactly what is it? So when they talk about us having 200 million Nigerians, for instance, even accepting of the fact that weaponized ignorance and weaponized poverty has overtaken Nigeria for generations now, at least 2 generations, have been afflicted by deliberate systemic weapons of ignorance and poverty. The system says it is capitalist, but there is no capital for anyone looking to do business. The infrastructure for entrepreneurs are simply not there. Our banks declare fantastic profit in an economy where they are not lending. So the question is, where are the feel-good men in the banking sector? Where are the feel-good men amongst the clergy? Where are the feel-good men in the universities and polytechnics? Where are the feel-good men in the trades? You look around, and you're in the tube in London, and right there on the wall, decorating one of the many banners you see in the underground. Help, children missing from school. Nigerian children missing from school. Where are the feel-good men speaking to this evil? Our senators, to even call them our, to own them, is self-libeling and self-denigrating. The senators and House of Reps members sat in Abuja, the governors, all those who pretend to rule the people. How can they possibly find any comfort in the knowledge that over 18 million children under the ages of 14, from ages 4.5 or 5 to 14, 18.3 million are out there walking the streets without classrooms, and yet everybody is silent. A young lady dared to complain, and she was there weeping about the reality staring her in the face in Nigeria. Unless she's going to start doing runs or have some sugar daddy somewhere or do something else other than whatever she's being paid, she can't live on what she's getting, even from the government itself. She has to subsidize the government to serve Nigeria. And the only response Nigeria has to that is for people to be phoning her to threaten her. And that's okay. How many churches are going to protest against that kind of thing this morning? How many mosques have had something to say about that and would have something to say about that? Where are the few good men and women in this society of ours? Where are they? You got churches and mosques everywhere, and yet evil has become so prevalent. Exactly where? What is the purpose of your religiosities if you are by your silence complicit in the evil? Let's try and understand something. When you have a society that has come to illustrate normative collapse as our own has apparently done, it would take a few good men and women, people of good conscience, deliberately and intentionally speaking out against these evils for them to ever be reversed. If you continue to keep quiet in the face of these existential evils, to the point where the only thing that issues forth from what should be the last refuge of the common man are these obscenities. You call yourself an SAN, you're a retired jurist, and you are seeing this evil, and you're quiet, either because you profit from it or because you are complicit in it. Do you know what judicial anarchy does to a society? When the people lose confidence in the ability of the judiciary to give them justice? Do you know? Look at Rivers State. Beyond the fact that it's a squabble of thieves, do you see what has been done to the judiciary in the pursuit of narrow interests? Are you looking? Do you understand the long-term consequences of the damages that have been done to the institutions? Do you guys even understand the fact that once men are dead and long gone, what they did in the name of institutions become part of that institution? What happens to the doctrine of stare decisis in the midst of this judicial anarchy? Where are the feel-good men in the judiciary? What has happened to them? The shameful religious institutions, particularly the Pentarascals. What has happened to you? What has become of you? Exactly what has become of you? How can a country go to the dogs like this and you are still speaking in the name of Christ? Mammon has become your God. You don't speak to the substance of what the people are dealing with, to the point where a young lady dared to speak to her pain, verifiable pain, and she could be victimized in spite of all of you. Shame on you. Where are the few good men? That a man is good does not mean he's free of sin. It simply means that he abides by the truth. Where are you? What has happened to you? How is it possible that today we can speak to finding more good men in the police than in the judiciary? Think about that. 99 out of 100 judges do not need to be corrupt for the judiciary to be corrupt. All it takes are just 5 corrupt judges out of 100. Just 5. And corruption is not necessarily about taking money. It's simply about not doing justice, whether because of your prejudices or because of your ignorance. So where are the few good men? Why is it that, when a society progresses to the point where a man feels safer to label himself insane on account of what he would have to say, but that the society would rather not accept? It's not a function of him saying the wrong things, but because that truth might be more palatable to the hearer if they believe that the speaker is insane. What kind of society have we built? Exactly what kind of society? So I have come around this morning essentially to demand of you, stop looking for votrons, because it's not votrons that it will take to change our circumstances. Just be one of the few good men. Speak to the truth of the things you see. Stop allowing yourself to be blinded by ethno-religious idiocies. Just speak to the truth. The society is imploding because of the lies that we have accommodated. The society is collapsing. We actually illustrate non-collapse. Google it when we're done. Take it out. Our society is imploding. And this should not be so. Yorubas will say, Okporo Kagbon. Not be about plenty talk. It's about me wanting to awaken you this morning to the need for you to become one of the few good men and women who have to catalyze the changes that Nigeria requires if it's not to implode. But as I've been saying for some time, if you do not know purpose, abuse becomes inevitable. All this atotoarere, the dogon trenchi, the constant talk all day, all week, all night, the purpose to which I have given my life is to awaken you to the need to become citizens. I have no guns, and as I've explained to you, I'm not a peaceful man. I'm just a weak man. I have no guns, and I can't fight a man with guns, carrying guns. But I can fight him with the truth. And the truth is enough at any time. The truth is enough as a weapon, and it is sufficient as a shield. And the truth this time around is that the Nigerian state is forced to play the game of pretense. They have to pretend that we are in a democracy, and they have to pretend that we are citizens. And if we are going to have to sustain the pretense of a democracy and the illusion of citizenship, they also have to pretend to offer us those rights. So here is the one that I believe should be paramount to all of us, and it is the one that we are able to weaponize, the demand to have electoral reform. You cannot be in a democracy where your votes do not count. I am proposing that we keep 2 dates in mind. The 27th or 29th of May, when they have their fraudulent swearing in, and they used to call Democracy Day, that day, and the 12th of June. Either of those 2 days, definitely long before then, definitely before the end of this month, a citizens' bill for the reform of our electoral act would be placed before the National Assembly. Let us also have a program in place long before the 29th of May, or long before a date, where we pick a definite date on which to show our owners that we are serious about our demand for electoral reform. Before the end of this month, a definite date will be picked and it will be communicated. Without electoral reform, any talk of an election in 2027 is delusional. You see the politicians talking about alliances. The short one, that midget, the evil one, is busy talking about SDP and calling his fellows to come and join him there. You don't count in their equation. They are not looking to empower you. They are looking to gain power so that they can perpetuate this same evil system that has been self-sustaining. But for you to be of any consequence in the equation, your votes have to count. The system and its beneficiaries have to be afraid of losing power. And the only way that happens is when your votes begin to count. So let's be clear. Any talk of 2027, forget about it. Don't listen to that illusion. We did not lose in 2023 because we did not vote. We lost because our votes did not count. And when I say we, I'm not just talking about Peter Obi. I'm talking about all the different idiots who clung to his coattail to take themselves into the National Assembly, but who are today no different from them. Because if you recall, the second leg of the electoral reform that I am seeking, that we should all be seeking, aside from the part that is demanding that there should be automatic transmission from Beavers to IREV, the second leg of the electoral reform is the one that demands independent candidacy. If we had independent candidacy and we were voting for people who are reflective of our own values, who will do our will when they get into the National Assembly, we will not have this kind of monkeys that are currently monkeying around in the place and have given the name real illustration when they say Congress of baboons. That is what we have currently because people go into office without being known to the voters. People vote for parties, most of the time without knowing the candidates. If independent candidacy is allowed, a man who does not belong to PDP, LLP, PUPUPU, or any other party for that matter, but whose policies and politics align with that of the people in the location where he is looking to run, would dare to run and might very well beat the governing party simply because the people know him. These are rights of citizens. Independent candidacy was allowed in the First Republic. Why has it become an anathema 70 years later? Before the end of this month, the Citizens' Bill will be introduced into the public space and one will be delivered to the National Assembly. Yes, it's largely a collection of people we would rather not deal with, but that is the process in front of us. And if our will must prevail, it will be because we queued behind it, recognizing it as being for the common good. Any talk of 2027 in the absence of electoral reform, real reforms, is a waste of time. It is the only way you'll be having the kind of silly hunger thoughts that you're having right now, and you'll be having the kind of drama you're having in the Lagos State House of Assembly. Your votes do not count. And they know this, and they will prefer to keep it that way. So if you want anything to change, be prepared to struggle for it. If you're looking to avoid violence in order to change Nigeria, be prepared to make some sacrifices. It might involve having to sit at home. It might involve having to just simply wear black on the day as a collective. It might just be some tokenist measure of protest, but it is critical that the system must be aware of exactly how we feel, and the system must be aware that we are capable of uniting. It is our unity they fear above all else. If we would dare to speak as a collective, they will not dare to do the things that they do to us. It is our division that emboldens them. A few good men up and down the length of Nigeria, speaking to their own people in their own languages, speaking to those that I can't even reach if I tried my hardest. A few good men are enough to change Nigeria. And I'm not forgetting the women. So Akpabio, Natasha, and us. That is only possible because we are not citizens. The people of Kogi would have been deserving of representation if they were citizens. A few good men up and down the length of Nigeria would have prevented anyone from daring to phone Rai to be threatening her for speaking her truth. Just a few good men. Don't allow yourself to be distracted in the coming week. Or rather, we're already in the week. Here is the part where I'm saying bye-bye to you. I hope to see you again next week. Oh, and yes, as part of the funeral of Secretaries of Papa Adebanjo, and in my new role as the National Organizing Secretary of Afenifere, we're organizing a national symposium for what would have been his 97th birthday. which is on the 10th of April. We'll be holding here in Lagos. We'll be offering further information on this program during the course of this week. It is my hope that as many of you as are able to attend will be present at that function. Don't let me let the cat out of the bag just yet, but just take it that we were already planning this symposium before Baba passed on. And the decision was taken that there is nothing that would be more pleasing to Baba than for us to honor him on what would have been his 97th birthday by going ahead with that symposium. So I'll be looking forward to seeing you. You can expect to get all the due notifications very soon. See you soon, and definitely see you by next Sunday. Hopefully by then I would have circulated copies of the Citizens Bill so that you would have had the opportunity to go through it yourselves. So enjoy the rest of the week, and God bless you. Bye-bye.
Guys, you have seen it for yourself. Yes, Mr. Dele Faroimi actually reacted to so many things, and you must have heard about the lady who complained, a core member who complained about the plight of core members. Especially, she used her case, to tell the whole world what she has been going through as a core member that gets almost nothing from the federal government. The Tinubu's government promised 77,000 naira per core member. Until today, they've not been able to fulfill that promise. But they are living big. In short, in Nigeria, if you're a poor person, you can never benefit from the government. All the money of the taxpayers go to, to just to be servicing these politicians. They are the ones taking the biggest of the cake home for themselves or their families. But the Nigerians who are even the ones suffering. You can imagine you went to school, passed through all the stress. They said they are going to send you on NYSC. Just give you money to sustain you within that period is war. So this lady came out to talk about what she has been going through, and the NYC official, one of them was, threatening her and all that. You've heard what Mr. Dele Faroimi said. Also, the most interesting part of everything Mr. Dele Faroimi said here is Peter Obi joining El-Rufai in forming a coalition. For me, I don't really find that marriage to be a very good one. I know that it's not easy to it's not easy to go alone and win a particular, election. See, for me, if Peter Obi decides to run alone, Peter Obi will win Tinubu. Peter Obi ran with Dati Ahmed, who is not even a popular person, but still Peter Obi won that election, even though they gave it to Tinubu. Peter Obi won. So in the midst of this hunger, what do you think will happen? Peter Obi will win. The North don't even have any alternative. They just have to support Peter Obi because they feel Tinubu has betrayed them. Tinubu has abandoned them. It's just for Peter Obi to start playing his card on time. If you know who is going to run with you as your vice, pick your vice. Tell us the party you want to belong to. Forget about all these coalitions. Nigerians are tired of these politicians. We need a change. People will come out. Who is that sensible person that will not support? Will not support Peter Obi? But all this coalition now, they might be forcing Peter Obi to do what he does, because for coalition is all about agreement. It's all about agreement. Sometimes you'll be forced to agree to what you don't really like. So for me, I think Peter Obi has a huge supporter base. He should just leverage on it and forget about all these people. If the first time Peter Obi ever run for presidency, he won. He won in Lagos. He won in so many places, even though they came out to do all their shenanigans. Peter Obi can definitely win come 2027 presidential election. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.